Hi, good morning student. Today in this video, the part 3 of lesson a second, hunting, gathering towards the settled life or growing food. So today's point to start towards a settled life. Students, in this video, we are going to learn about the people, how slowly they started to live a settled life, and what are the evidences and the proofs that the archaeologists have found, and how did they trace it out, what are the evidences they got it which supports to the a settled life of those people. Let us find it out. There are some examples. The city, the Gujarat, which is at present in Kashmir, the people built the houses which were known as the pit houses. They were dug into the ground with the steps leading into them. So these houses provided to those people a shelter from cold and weather. Archaeologists have also found the cooking places, which is called the hearth. Those were found both inside and outside of the huts that the people were living in those days. These evidences, they suggest that depending on the weather conditions, people might have been used to cook either the indoors or the outdoors. The hearth is nothing but the fireplace. Even the archaeologists further, they found out some instruments or the tools which were used in those days. These are the tools that the people they used in those days. Children, many kind of, even the earthen pots other than these tools were also used by those people. These were sometimes very decorated, which were used to store the things for a long time, and people began using the pots for cooking food, especially grains like the rice, wheat, and so on. Besides, they even began weaving clothes using different kinds of materials. For example, cotton was the one which was basically used. And after that, we also come to know some other important things about those people. How did they change everywhere in their life? Not only in the cooking or living in the houses or building them, but in many areas, men and women still we find they made a improvement in their lifestyle and the occupations which were being performed by them. So these things suggest that they had been slowly making over a changes. If we just look at the lifestyle over 1,000 years, then slowly we find little changes in their life. After this information, children, we let's move on the practices and customs of those people. What about other customs and practices of those people? Archaeologists, they also found there are certain evidences. The farmers who practice a simple agriculture, they have also studied the lives of the herders. Then many of these farmers and herders live in group called the tribes. Scholars find that they have follow certain customs and practices that may existed in the earlier days well. Children, after this point, we come to know about the closer look of these people their living and dying. Particularly, one of the important villages in those days was the Mehergarh. A closer look living and dying in Mehergarh. Children, archaeologists who excavated the site found evidences of many kinds of animal bones from the earliest level. These included bones of wild animals such as the deer and pig. In later levels, they also found more bones of sheep and goats. And in a still later levels, cattle bones are most common, suggesting that this was the animal that was generally kept by the people. These are the examples of the bones which were of different animals. Step by steps, the archaeologists they could able to trace it out. In the beginning, deer and pig was the animal found. Subsequently, the sheep and goat was found. Thereafter, the bones of some other animals, common animals, cattle, they found. These things suggest that in those days, people step by steps they made a familiar to domesticate those animals, and they were of much importance in their life. So this is here the Mehergarh, one of the house, how it looks about the outer structures of the house it was. Children, thereafter we come to know about the other practice of those people. When people die, their relatives and friends generally pay respect to them. People look after them, perhaps they even believe that there is some form of life after death. Then burial is one such arrangement, a thinking over even after the death of a person might require some things, and accordingly archaeologists they found in several burial sites have been found at Mehergarh. One of the instance or example is that the dead person was buried with goats which were probably meant to serve as a food in the next world. And these the evidences which could found by the archaeologists. Look at this is one of the burials, and where along with the skeleton of the human being, even you could see some other animals which resembles the exactly the skeleton of those animals of the goats and some other animals. And this makes, and further the opinion becomes more stronger that the belief of the people after the death, definitely there is some kind of a life, and there that requires the persons, and in according to that whatever the things were supposed to be required in the next life, those were all kept along with the dead bodies of the person in the burial. Children, this is what a closer look of the people in those days, in which we could able to find out some important informations regarding the living and dying in those days. And these things makes a confirmation that how the people they believed in, and what was the customs and practices they are in their life. This is what how students we come to an end of this lesson.